Wow, the Tobias Harris trade rumors went from 0 to 100 real quick. Lots of news flying around, but could we see a deal in the coming days, or is Daryl Morey fumbling the bag? We'll break down all of it here on Philly Take with RB.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome into the show. Like always, hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Be sure to subscribe and also ring that bell down below. That way you don't miss any of the coverage. Today we're back, and there is a lot of rumors, a lot of buzz flying around in this last 24-hour period. If I had told you 2 days ago that we could possibly be progressing like this on a Tobias deal, you'd say, probably not, right? A few sprinkles of information, but really nothing on the forefront. Here we are, though, and things are heating up. So we're going to get into all of it. We'll talk about what's realistic, what is not, what can we believe possibly. We'll break it all down. Let me know down below in the comment section. Do you think Tobias Harris could be dealt in the coming days? What is the best trade package? Let me know all your thoughts. And before we break it down, shout out to our sponsor of today's video, Magic Spoon. Shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Magic Spoon, the high quality cereal that will bring you back to your childhood. Magic Spoon is inspired by Saturday morning cartoons, but is made for the 21st century with high protein and less sugar. Can you believe it? Magic Spoon is also gluten-free, has just 4 to 5 grams of net carbs per serving with 0 grams of sugar and all natural flavors. Now, my favorite meal to start the day is always a bowl of cereal for breakfast, but I've had trouble finding one that can limit the carbs until I found Magic Spoon. My favorite is the delicious peanut butter, and I can eat it in the morning or at night as a fueling snack. They have a bunch of great flavors, so go click the link down below to grab a variety pack and try it today. Be sure to use the promo code PhillyTake at checkout to get $5 off any order, or just go to magicspoon.com/PhillyTake. In fact, Magic Spoon is so confident in their product that it is backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money with no questions asked. So go down to the description and click the link below, or scan the QR on the screen. Use code PhillyTake to get $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/PhillyTake to save $5 today. All right, man, let's get into it. So I want to start off actually with a couple quick tidbits of things that I wanted to discuss. It actually fell right into place with all these Tobias rumors, but there was an interview put on Twitter with Tobias Harris's father, and a couple of these things came up a little later on. Brian Toporek put the interview and talked about what Daryl Harris said in terms of negotiations with the Clippers, and shout out to Dave earlier, who put the exact quote. But listen to this, man. LA offered us $80 million. I turned down the $80 million. They said, wow, what are you looking for? I said, I want about 35 per year. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, 35 a year. They said, well, we're not going to pay you that. And they traded him to the Sixers. This was obviously years ago. But I say this because we always talk about what was the market for Tobias during that offseason when Jimmy left and they paid Toby. And I always stick to my gut, man. I don't think any team was willing to go nearly as high as Elton Brand did for Tobias. This kind of leads into why we are stuck in the mud in this situation. But man, I mean, the Clippers were not paying him. I don't know who was, but just an interesting tidbit there. Obviously, Tobias Harris's father represents him. In addition to that, another quote that came out from this interview, Tobias Harris's father talking about the Sixers offense. Listen to this. He says, Tobias is an assassin scorer. I mean, they can't stop him. Nobody in the league can stop him. So he's proven that over his career. Even when he was with the Clippers, he was an assassin scorer. Ever since the Sixers, they put him in the corner. What do you think about this quote? Because honestly, I think there is some truth to this, and it's something I always preach here on the show. Tobias Harris and his skill set and his game does not fit within the corridor of the Sixers. Like, yes, he is an assassin in terms of he wants the ball in his hands going downhill, working that mid-range game. But when you have Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Joel Embiid, it just will not work because there are not enough touches to go around for Tobias, which is why he's the odd man out who gets stuck in the corner. And he tried to become a sharpshooter. Two things I would say to this. Number one, again, the skill set doesn't align with what the Sixers need at that position. So it's just an awkward fit. And the other thing I would say is, well, your son shouldn't be in the corner one game going 10 for 10 from deep and saying, well, I'm a sharpshooter. Tell a friend to tell a friend, I'm a sharpshooter. And then loses his touch the entire rest of the season. I mean, at the end of the day, the Sixers, need certain things out of Tobias Harris that he cannot provide. And yes, he's a great leader and a great locker room presence, but, they need a better fit. So he talks about his son. It's not feasible. And the fact they gave him the amount of money they did for the role that he plays, it just doesn't align. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. That's what Tobias Harris's father thinks of his fit on the Sixers. But let's talk about some of the rumors that dropped yesterday. It was a frenzy. Sixer fans were losing it on Twitter. Has Daryl Morey lost his marbles? Here was the first thing on the timeline that came out. Let me know what you think about this. Per Keith Pompey, as you see here, we're putting a lot of stock into Keith Pompey and his sources, right? So you take that however you want. Take everything with a grain of salt. But according to Keith Pompey of the Inquirer, the Sixers wanted a trade package of Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and a draft pick for Tobias Harris. What? What are we talking about here, man? Is Daryl Morey trying to use the Ben Simmons approach with Tobias Harris? It's very different, man. They're in different situations. There were teams out there who thought that giving Ben Simmons a change of scenery would actually make things better. And they thought that, okay, the guy's still younger. He still has an opportunity. With the Tobias Harris thing, this is about a team trying to take on an expiring deal, right? And get rid of some maybe filler or salary or whatever, or draft compensation, whatever it may be, older players, just to get Tobias in for a year, help mentor maybe some young guys, etc., and then let him leave, right? Like nobody's re-signing him to a max contract. So I don't think that the Ben Simmons approach is going to work here at Daryl Morey. But at the same time, last time he ended up landing James Harden. Now I know the Nets had lost like 8 in a row and things went south. We're in the offseason, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But if this is true and Daryl Morey is asking for this type of haul, I don't know what else to say. I am blanked at that point. That is crazy. The Cavs got to throw in a draft pick? The Sixers need to throw in a draft pick. And Evan Mobley and Jared Allen? Allen was just an all-star, in 21? Evan Mobley's one of the best young players. I mean, he was a top draft pick. Get out of here with that, man. Get out of here with that. And why would the Sixers go out and try to acquire 2 more big men? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe Mobley could be a versatile fit, but Jared Allen, on his contract, it doesn't make any sense. So I don't know whether to believe this or not. But going on to the next thing that came out, this was later in the article. The Suns, quote, want the Sixers to facilitate a 3-team deal that sends Tobias Harris to Phoenix, DeAndre Ayton to a 3rd team, and assets to Philly. Well, what type of assets are we talking about? Would the Sixers be willing to do this? Let me know your thoughts down below. I think the substance on this is very much more interesting. We're going to pull up the article here and react to what Keith Pompey said. So here was the full article that he put out. Suns, Jazz, and Mavericks also showing interest in the Sixers Tobias Harris. Let me tell you something. If Daryl Morey is asking for these type of hauls, Tobias is not getting traded. The Sixers will be running this back, and maybe they'll trade him at the deadline, but they're gonna keep running this thing back how they are now, maybe add one piece. If this is the type of compensation that Daryl Morey expects. And this is hilarious. A source says the Sixers president isn't negotiating in good faith regarding a deal for Harris. He is going crazy right now. All right, let's talk about this, man. So Sixers have been adamant they're not willing to trade him unless it drastically improves their team. They made that clear on draft night and don't intend to change their stance. Now, this is interesting. The Suns, Utah Jazz, and Dallas Mavericks join the previously mentioned Cavs, Pacers, and Pistons as teams making inquiries about the 30-year-old availability, according to sources. A source said the Suns want Harris to play alongside KD, Book, and Beal, and they want to acquire him before the start of free agency because of possible second apron ramifications. We talked about this on our last video or a couple videos ago with the whole Newbeck article and how this would affect that, so be sure to check it out. This doesn't make any sense either. Why would the Suns want Tobias Harris? First off, can they even afford Tobias Harris? I mean, how much are they already over? I don't know, man. We're going to have to call up the cap experts for this one because I don't even know if they can fit that in there. But they want Tobias Harris, after his father just talked about putting him in the corner, to come over to Phoenix and play with 3 ball handlers in KD, Book, and Beal. This makes no sense. Keith, who's your sources? Who's your sources, Keith? I want to talk to them, man. This is crazy. The only thing is Phoenix would have to move DeAndre Ayton. The Sixers have no interest in the 7-foot, 250-pounder. with 3 years and $102 million left on the contract. And why would they when the franchise player and reigning MVP Joel Embiid like Ayton plays center? The Sixers also don't have any interest in any of the players Suns would make available. Phoenix wants the Sixers to get a third team involved to facilitate the deal. The Sixers are unwilling to do so. Again, they'd have to really find something out here. I don't know if anybody wants DeAndre Ayton on that contract. The Pacers, and listen to this, man. The Pacers were interested in acquiring Harris during Thursday's draft. However, sources said they didn't have enough assets to acquire him. Yo, what? Daryl Morey's, he's the man in the King's ransom. He's calling him up. He said, you're starting at 2 first-round picks, and if you're not talking money, hang up the phone. Hang up the phone. Who does he think Tobias is, man? I like Tobias, but give me a break. I'm telling you, Tobias is not getting traded, man, unless Daryl Morey stoops completely down. I'm telling you, it's like the Ben Simmons thing. He wants everything for Tobias Harris, who has been minimized in the playoffs year after year, hasn't played enough of a role. He's 30 years old. He's got 1 year left. What do you think you are going to get for Tobias Harris? Daryl Morey, you got to wake up, man. Come on now. This is not the same situation as Simmons. Harris is scheduled to make $39.2 million in 2023, the final season of the 5-year, $180 million deal. And look, man, a lot of people have said, oh, well, Nick Nurse can get more out of Tobias Harris. Yes, he can. But here is the thing. It all goes back to the structure of the team. Can Nick Nurse optimize Tobias more? Absolutely. But Tobias has to do little incremental things like rebound and be scrappy on defense and things like that, which he's just not capable of. And it doesn't matter who the coach is. You have too many ball handlers on the team. You need a better fit. So, you know, I get it, all right? You want to keep the camaraderie together, the chemistry, let this team build a little bit. Fine. You need a better fit, man. Sources told the Inquirer the Sixers are overvaluing Harris and asking for outrageous packages in return. That goes in line with what the source said. And again, a draft or a package of Allen, Mobley, and a draft pick. That is insane. Allen was an all-star in 2021. Mobley was the 3rd overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft. Oh my God. Daryl Morey is not negotiating in good faith. The Sixers' demands aren't surprising. The reported deals go in line with their having no intention of trading Harris at this time. A move that drastically improves the team is the only thing that would budge them from their stance. I want to end this off by talking about one underrated trade. Keith Pompey talks about Utah. I heard nobody talk about Utah. I brought it up 5 days ago on Twitter. And let me know what you think about this, man. I said the Sixers need to go after Jordan Clarkson if he opts out of his deal with the Jazz. But if he opted in and you could facilitate a trade around Jordan Clarkson, Kelly Olynyk, a draft pick maybe, and I don't know, maybe some filler like a Horton Tucker or a Rudy Gay. What do we think about that? I think that's more of an underrated destination. Does it move the needle? Maybe not, but it gives you better fits. It gives you a sniper off the bench in terms of Jordan Clarkson, who was the 6th man of the year a couple years ago. Kelly Olynyk could provide some forward depth that the Sixers don't have. Even though I don't like him that much, he could provide depth. That's just another thing. And people are telling me, let's go get Larry Markkinen. You are not getting Larry Markkinen for Tobias Harris. Don't tell Daryl Morey that, please. Or please tell him that, actually, so that he doesn't go off the rails here. But that would be an underrated trade package I like. I like all these teams, Pacers, Pistons. You're going to have to get, you might have to take a down step in terms of like certain individual players and their value overall, but they need to fit better within the scheme of the team. I don't know how many times I can say that without not making it clear. But anyway, that's where we are at with the Tobias rumors. It does seem like things are progressing on a deal, but it's going to take Daryl Morey stepping down, getting a little creative and saying, all right, how can we really get the fit of this team better? And if they don't think it will improve, this is what I said. In terms of people saying, oh, Tobias trade's going to happen. It's going to happen. I kept saying back to them, like, put yourself in the shoes of Daryl Morey. If he doesn't think this is going to drastically improve the team, they're not trading him. And that's where we are at right now. Going to be an interesting week with free agency and all that stuff. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.